After week one, which position are we feeling the most confident in? We'll talk about that and so much more on today's episode of Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. My name is John Williams. You can follow me on Twitter at John9Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners, and you can follow my buddy here, Josh Helmer, on Twitter at JoshOnRef. You can also hear him Monday through Friday from 9 to noon on the KREF Sports app. And Josh, the question of the day, coming from the folks over at the KREF on Twitter, asking the question, OU fans, what position on the team do you feel better about after watching one game? Josh, I'm going to let you take it away.
A lot of different directions I think you could go on this one. I think for me, I'm going to start with corner for Oklahoma. I really, really liked what I saw from Gentry Williams. We already basically knew what we had in Woody Washington, and yet even on a sideline route for Woody Washington, he's trying to lower the boom a little bit. So I think just the tenacity in which we saw Gentry Williams get downhill, the coverage skills good through 1 week. So in terms of areas that we had some concern about, I think you start there. And I mean, there's a number of different position groups you could choose, but probably to be most prudent, where Oklahoma had some questions, I liked what we saw from Gentry Williams.
And I'm going to go with the guys that the cornerback position covers, and that's wide receiver. Because going into the season, most people felt really good about Drake Stoops and what you were going to get out of him, although probably you felt maybe he has a little bit of a ceiling. You're not expecting him to go out there, be 1,000-yard receiver, a guy that catches double-digit touchdowns. I felt great about Jalil Farouk. A lot of people still maybe had some questions about whether or not he could ascend into that wide receiver one territory. And it may not matter because you had a great game out of Andrel Anthony, and then you saw Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson both show up. Gavin Freeman get a bunch of looks, and Jaquaze Bedaway get a bunch of looks. So when Jeff Levy says we want to play 6 or 7 guys, we feel good about 6 or 7 guys playing. You look at what they did on Saturday against Arkansas State, and you can feel pretty confident in the wide receiver position because they were able to run out so many guys, and each of those guys made plays. I don't think there was one poor play from a wide receiver. There was, maybe like a missed pass because it was just off the fingertips, as they're trying to make a diving catch. There might've been some bad end arounds, but I think more of that was due to the blocking scheme that was involved. But otherwise, I felt like the wide receiver group played a really, really great game. So I feel really, really confident about that group moving forward. However it looks, however the snap count is delineated, I feel great about the depth that they've got and the playmakers that they've got now.
Well, and obviously you've got Brennan Thompson. You think down the road, getting healthy to just supplement what we've seen with this group. So it's Jalil Farouk. We didn't see a ton out of Jalil Farouk, and I mean, history would indicate that that's going to change as the season goes along. I know that he ends up with a rush in the score sheet, even though really that was sort of like, it was a pass behind the line of scrimmage, right? So it goes down as a rush, but really kind of felt like it was a target for him in the passing game. And yet the 2 targets that he had, he doesn't come up with a catch. And yet, across the board, we talked a lot about the slot guys for Oklahoma. That trio was very, very busy in this game. We wanted to see about Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson making a jump. LV Bunkley Shelton, there were signs in the bowl game that, okay, Oklahoma is going to have him be more involved going forward. And then I already spilled the beans this week that Andrel Anthony, to me, I think they clued us in that he's going to be, if not this team's leading receiver, and I will say, again, I think he finishes as Oklahoma's leading receiver. He's clearly going to be very, very heavily involved. So I'm with you. In terms of position groups that maybe we had some concerns about, corner, wide receiver, you got to feel about 1,000,000 times better. linebacker, can I talk you into linebacker?
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of the same reasons, in that you saw a lot of guys get out there and play and make plays, from Danny Stutzman to Kobe McKenzie to Jaren Kanak to Kip Lewis, the cheetah position. It all looked really good. I mean, it looked solid. And you hope that they continue to improve. A guy like Jaren Kanak, who's only been playing the position for a year, you hope that he continues to learn and grow and develop, but he's kind of going to be developing on the fly a little bit. But the athleticism is legit. The speed is legit. The ability to make plays is legit. So it's just a matter of understanding what he's supposed to be doing out there on the football field, putting it into practice, and not getting taken advantage of because of his limited experience. Quarterbacks, especially ones that are really adept and have good kind of instincts, are able to kind of look people in the wrong direction, use their eyes to mislead a defender a little bit. And so that could be, or using play action can mislead a defender. So those are kind of going to be the areas to watch with Jaren Kanak, and just seeing, okay, is he going to be able to stay true to his keys? Is he going to be able to stay disciplined in what he's supposed to do? Or is he going to, just bite on everything that he sees, all the fakes? Because you're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see a lot more read option, a lot more play action, a lot more RPO game. So it's going to, the challenges are going to increase from a talent perspective, but also just from a offensive deployment scheme perspective as well for Jaren Kanak. So I like what I saw from linebacker in week one. I think another position that, we may not have had a ton of questions about, but anytime you're replacing 3 starters on your offensive line, it's good to see them have a really good game in week one.
Basically, we've run the marathon here of, well, I'm kind of confident in every position. sort of took the unusual approach off the top of not necessarily even what I think is Oklahoma's best position group yet in corner, but sort of the one that I'm now, I guess, most confident in that I was unconfident in.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
how about this? And I think you kind of did too. And maybe you feel that wide receiver is Oklahoma's best position group across the board, top to bottom, but I'll just pose that to you. So this is sort of a different way of approaching most confident. What's Oklahoma's best position group now that we've seen 1 week of football?
Yeah, I'm not ready to put wide receiver yet. And I'm also going to eliminate quarterback from the conversation, just because you have 2 players and they're really good. If you eliminate quarterback, I'm going to probably say safety. I think that's the area they have the most concentration of talent. If you just look at their 5 deep between Peyton Bowen and Billy Bowman and Reggie Pearson and Key Lawrence and Robert Spears Jennings, that's 5 guys that could all start for this team and play 60 to 70 snaps in a game and be really, really effective.
Harrington, I mean, you could toss into that group if you wanted to as well. Running back, I feel just as good, if not better, about after this game. I know that we're saying, okay, hey, can the run blocking improve a little bit? Can we see some more chunk yardage plays? But Marcus Major and Tawee Walker are both legitimate good running backs for Oklahoma. We didn't see Gavin Sawchuk. We saw Caleb Hicks get into the end zone. We saw Smothers do some nice things. Javante Barnes, he got the bulk of the carries in this game. It looked good, I thought, doing it. So that's probably Oklahoma's best position group for me, is running back, if you're taking quarterback out of the equation, which I think that's what we learned is, Oklahoma's got 2 really, really good signal callers.
Yeah, and I think running back's a position to continue to watch, but I think the depth is there. There's a good amount of talent at the position, and it goes beyond just the guys that we thought were going to be the lead runners in Barnes and Sawchuk. I mean, Tawee Walker played well. Marcus Major was solid. And then we got to see a little bit from Dalen Smothers and Caleb Hicks. Dalen Smothers, man, he ran a lot tougher kind of than I expected him to. I almost might have undersold his ability to run with physicality just because he's a speed guy. But there was one play in particular where he got hit maybe at 2 or 3 yards and then drove the defender for another 4 yards or so. So that was really, really impressive to me. I think running back is a position that's going to be really impressive this season. We're going to talk through some quick hits and a wide receiver that's having surgery coming up after I talk to y'all about our friends over at eBay Motors. If you're looking for a part, and man, I've been looking for a part. But the dealership that I'm dealing with has not been looking at eBay Motors. And if you're looking for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories for your car or truck, visit eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And college football season is here, and this season Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. The College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be noon to 2 Central on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. So, Josh, we got some news notes to go through, starting with DJ Graham, set to have surgery. Now, this was a player that had a really strong performance in the spring game, and he thought could be a potential playmaker for the Sooners this fall. He announced on Twitter that he was going to be having surgery. Brent Venables didn't really say why. Nobody really knows why exactly. DJ Graham didn't offer any details as to why he's having surgery, but he's having surgery. Potential redshirt year, maybe a medical redshirt year. Might see him again next year. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, he put out on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote,
Twitter, always known as Twitter.
Formerly and still known. He put out on Twitter today, quote, having surgery today, ready to come back better than ever. Hashtag OUDNA, hashtag Boomers Sooner, all glory to God. So, yeah, we don't know a bunch, end quote there. We don't know a bunch beyond that other than obviously, yeah, he's having surgery. And reading the tea leaves, John, I'm going to take that as season ending surgery for DJ Graham, even though that's technically not written verbatim right there from DJ Graham. I'm sort of in between the lines, putting those puzzle pieces together. So hate that for DJ Graham. Injuries, unfortunately, just a part of football. And yeah, hope he has a speedy recovery and can come back and impact things for Oklahoma, because as we've discussed, I don't know how many times throughout the offseason, it would have been a great story, still would be a great story if DJ Graham transitioning from defensive back to wide receiver could impact things for this football team. I think everybody's rooting for that.
Yeah, he's got the potential. He's got the playmaking ability. We know he's got the hands. So now it's just a matter of putting together a consistent offseason with an in-season to develop into the potential wide receiver that he could be. So we'll see where this goes. It could be I'll be back later this season, could be not back until next season. But given the depth that they have at wide receiver, there's no real reason to rush him into action this year. So hopefully it's just rest, recover, get better, get stronger, continue to develop and work on your game, and then come back next year even better than you were this past offseason. A lot of quick hits to dig into, some on the recruiting front, especially outside of football. Interestingly enough, the Oklahoma Sooners got a commitment on the basketball court and on the softball diamond. We'll talk basketball first, and this one is interesting. Number a power forward, 6'8", 6'9", power forward, cool attack out of Fort Worth. They say Fort Worth, but my man goes to Haltom High School, where your boy went to high school. Graduated in 2000. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But we're the Buffs, man. Haltom Buffaloes, cool attack commits to the Oklahoma Sooners for the 2024 recruiting cycle. A lot of people consider him potentially the best shooter in the class. And so if you're looking at a stretch four, like this guy is going to be able to bring it, but he's an athletic guy. He's going to provide some rim protection as well. So very, very interesting pickup for Porter Moser there.
Yeah, and Oklahoma's needed more shooting, but hang on a second here. You didn't tell me that in our pre-show meeting that he's from your alma mater. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, I double checked 247 Sports just to make sure, and it proudly says there, high school, Haltom High. Praise to our school we love so dear. No. Okay, the one downside to the Haltom High Buffaloes is their fight song is the exact same song as the Texas Longhorns fight song. That's my only regret right there. My only regret is that the fight song matches Texas's. Anyway, no, but it's kind of cool, man. The biggest athletic claim to fame that I can think of from Haltom High School is former Dallas Cowboys running back Lance Dunbar, who was a Katrina transplant, having to move from New Orleans up to the Metroplex for that. The dude was electric on the football field and then ended up in the NFL after going to University of North Texas. Now, Haltom High gets to put a guy at a big, a semi-big time Division I college basketball program. That's just huge for the school. If you're not sure where Haltom High or Haltom City is, it's just north of Fort Worth, between the Fort Worth boundary and Keller. If you're on one side of Beach Street, you're in Fort Worth. If you're on the other side of Beach Street, you're in Haltom City, Watauga, North Richland Hills, that kind of area. So I was proud, man. I was really excited to see that. You don't often hear of all the basketball recruiting nuggets that are happening on the recruiting trail, who Porter Mosier's after. And so when I saw this commitment come down and he was coming from Haltom High, I was like, shut up. That is amazing. My parents still live just like half a mile from Haltom. So, it's really cool. I told my wife, I said, when we get down this fall, we're going to check out the Haltom basketball schedule. I'm going to go watch Cool Attack play some ball. That's going to be a lot of fun. Well, the Whataburger Classic, every Christmas time or so, they generally have a tournament. It's called the Whataburger Classic at Haltom over Christmas break. That'd be a great time to go watch Cool if you got a chance to be in North Fort Worth.
Well, I'll get on the phone and start talking to my people and, getting to the bottom of if there's any prospects we need in the Crimson and Cream from Andover High School. I doubt that very seriously that there are, but we'll see what we can work on there. The recruiting analyst out there, I'm looking at what you guys aggregated over at Sooners Wire, 24/7 Sports basketball recruiting analyst, Brandon Jenkins. Just to paraphrase a little bit what they said about Cool Attack. Like you said, stretch 4, great shooter. They love the upside there. Physically, they want him to add weight. So that's sort of the knockout there. But hey, I can get you to knock back a couple of Whataburgers, right on cue there. We can get that part figured out.
Yeah, that's right. The other note of recruiting interest, this one comes from Patty Gasso, who, don't you just love it when Patty Gasso just drops a go boomer on Twitter out of nowhere? And they got a big time commitment. This one's coming from Sophia Bordy. I want to say that's how I pronounce the name. Yeah, Sophia Bordy, the number 1 player out of New Jersey. She was the player of the year as a sophomore in New Jersey. And she's going to be in the 2025 class. She's a pitcher, a first baseman for OU Batbusters. She played on their 18 and under team. Again, as a sophomore, she threw a no-hitter in the championship series in game 1. So that just goes to show the type of talent that Sophia Bordy has. Again, a hitter, a pitcher, again, someone who is the New Jersey player of the year as a sophomore.
Yeah, obviously that kind of track record, you do that as the New Jersey Gatorade player of the year. And then with the OC Batbusters do, obviously what she's done on the travel ball circuit. I would imagine that Patty Gasso and company understand that this is an elite talent and regarded as such. So it's a big time get. And again, the pipeline to Oklahoma just keeps going, the juggernaut that is.
Yeah. And she talked about the feel of the program, but the university as well. The idea that it was a family atmosphere. And I think that's the cohesion that everybody talks about, right? Brent Venables talking about cohesion in a program. Patty Gasso, Brent Venables, everybody's just kind of on that same page, trying to create this, and not really create, but fulfill this family identity that they want to have as a program. So that's exciting to see. Moving on, we got Pole Patrol to talk about. Sorry, I've been hanging out with my toddler all day, doing car shopping. So Pole Patrol was fresh on my mind. Paw Patrol, Pole Patrol, here we are. Let's start with the USA Today coaches poll. The Oklahoma Sooners coming at number 17, moving up a few spots this week after a big win over Arkansas State. No real surprise. I expect them to move, a little bit. In my power rankings, I bumped them up 1 or maybe 2 spots altogether, but I think that's a fair spot for them to be in. In the AP top 25, they're number 18. And then in the Locked On Network college poll, they came in also at number 18, as you can see there if you're tuned in with us on YouTube. Josh, that's reasonable for where Oklahoma's at right now, right?
Sure it is. Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's beaten an Arkansas State team that everybody thinks isn't any good, and has reason to believe that they're not any good. Now, Oklahoma was flat out dominant in what they did. So if you double down and then triple down against SMU Tulsa the next couple of weeks and do something similar, not saying 73-0, but something in the vein of, I don't know, 5 touchdown victories each of the next 2 weeks, or 5 score victories the next couple of weeks, then I think people's eyes are going to start widening to Oklahoma, and we'll see what happens elsewhere, right? I mean, then you get a little bit further down the road, and Cincinnati is traveling to Pittsburgh this week. So Cincinnati, I want to say, is a little more than a touchdown dog in that contest. If all of a sudden Cincinnati goes there and beats Pittsburgh, and then you get a little further down the road and Oklahoma convincingly beats that team that went and, obviously got a rivalry win like that, then you really start turning some heads. But in terms of where we started and what we've got to go off of 1 week in, Oklahoma did everything it was asked to do and then some. And yet this is kind of just, hey, this is where you started the season out at. So there's not a big boost. Looking at the poll that we shared, I mean, right now I'd vote Oklahoma ahead of LSU based on 1 week.
I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable for sure. And you can even make a case to put other teams ahead of OU, maybe like a Duke that knocked off a Clemson that was at one point, a top 10 team and now is outside of the Locked On top 25 poll. I feel like the top 4 are probably right on with Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Florida State as your top 4 teams at the moment. For me, Josh, and we had this debate in the Locked On, group chat, should you be really voting for teams that haven't really proven anything yet? And my point to a lot of folks is Georgia's been proving that they're the best team in the nation for more than 2 years. Until somebody else beats them and shows us that they are not the best team in the nation, I don't know how you could vote them as not anything but number 1. The fact that they don't get a unanimous selection at number 1 every week shocks me. And I get you can't base everything on last year's results, but this is more than just last year. This is more than 2 years now that they've been the number 1 team in the nation. Any other surprises for you as you look at this, Josh?
I don't know that there's a ton of surprises. I mean, to be expected jump for Colorado. Looking at the rest of the board here, A&M I thought had a nice start to their season. Penn State I would have in front of Ohio State based on 1 week for me, and I might have USC in front of Ohio State too, just based on the offensive struggles for the Buckeyes. But look, you could have a nice little debate with a bunch of those teams there. Washington in front of USC if you wanted. If you said Notre Dame in front of a USC, then I wouldn't have a big beef with that. We just don't have a ton on the plate that we've seen yet. Tennessee, I mean, do you want to have Tennessee in front of a couple of teams too, based on some offensive explosion that you've seen carry over from last year to this, obviously with a new quarterback? So yeah, I don't know. It's tough to make sense of all of that. Do I have a big complaint with much of it? Nah, not really.
Yeah, I think Utah is a team that I feel like a lot of teams or people are still sleeping on a little bit, even at number 11. The back-to-back Pac-12 champs beat USC twice last year. To me, they probably should be sitting in front of USC. In my power rankings, I do have them sitting in front of USC. I've got USC either at number 10 or 11, and I've got Utah a couple spots ahead of them. They're my highest ranked Pac-12 team. I've got Kansas State ahead of Texas right now as well, both in my Big 12 power rankings as well as my top 25 power rankings. And in this vote, I had Kansas State ahead of Texas. Again, defending Big 12 champ. I feel like they showed more in week 1, even though it was against a worse or maybe a worse team. I don't know. They took care of business. They scored a bunch of points. They shut out their opponent. much like Oklahoma, did everything they needed to do and got a big win. I really like Will Howard. DJ Giddens had a big game. Looks like they're going to be just fine running the ball without Deuce Vaughn, which should be scary for everybody. So I think Kansas State's a team to kind of be on the lookout for. But man, we're going to get more and more data this week. We've got huge games coming up, Oklahoma, SMU, and then Texas going to Alabama. But they're, like you mentioned, Pitt and, who was it? Pitt and Cincinnati. Thank you. The old Big East reunion coming to play in that one. That's going to be a lot of fun too. So a lot of really, really fun matchups going to happen this week as we get deeper into the season. The consequential matchups are going to get better and better and better and better. Oh, Utah goes to Baylor. That's going to be a fun one. We might get to see Dave Aranda get sad and get his team stomped by the Utes. So it could be good times. A lot of Big 12 implications.
Or they'll pull the old switcheroo week 1 to week 2 and just be a totally different football team 1 week later. But
that'd be so like the Dave Aranda roller coaster. 2-win team year 1, Big 12 champ year 2, 6 and 7 in year 3. So would not surprise me if they just have this again roller coaster ride.
Definitely picking Utah though.
Yeah, definitely picking Utah. No Blake Shapen, and even though Blake Shapen's not great, he's still an experienced quarterback and gives them the better chance to win. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Again, thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. We're free and available on all platforms and on YouTube. Hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Josh on Twitter at JoshOnRef. Follow myself on Twitter at John9Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners. But until next time, he's Josh. I'm John. Boomer Sooner.